Hey, girl. Hallelujah. Hey, girl. Hey.
I'm Hallelujah, honey.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
That's perfect for this episode. Perfect timing.
I mean, as the world goes to shit, I thought that I would just say hallelujah.
Say something. Just send out some positive vibes into the world because Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have.
Got to gird your loins here and his
so my grandmother, my dear sweet grandmother,
yes,
who is German, dear listeners, my dear sweet grandmother grew up in World War II in Germany. Well, it's now Poland. It was Germany at the time, and it was, a refugee. So if you're catching this somewhere along the way, currently Russia just invaded Ukraine, right? So my grandmother was talking to her brother, who doesn't remember very much of this. He was very young at the time. She was 7 or 8, so she remembers all of it. Talking to her brother, and her brother's like, hey, maybe we'll just move to America. Yeah, my grandma was like, oh, no, that's nice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know your grandmother had like siblings that were like alive and stuff.
Yeah, she's got 2 siblings. Well, she had 2 siblings. One's passed away. One is still alive.
Wow.
Yeah. Like her. Oh my God. My aunt is fantastic. I guess she's aunt. It's whatever grandmother's brother's.
That would be your aunt.
Great aunt.
Your
yeah.
Great aunt in law, I guess.
She has the perfect yellow or blonde perm.
Yes.
My grandmother said said her and her friends used to be whores. Like, what does that mean? Well, she really liked American GIs. I'm like, oh, okay.
But like she used to be. I'm like, yeah, that was a lot.
And she's probably a lesbian or bi because she's got another friend who she has just been real close with. They've always lived next door to each other. Oh yeah. And like when she found out she was gay, when she found out I was gay, she was the one who was like, "Oh, I've got lots of gay friends, whatever."
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a German art film just lurking.
Germany is
there.
a special place, girl. Germany is a special place.
I've seen enough documentaries. Yes.
Not that kind. I mean, you could go to those special places if you want to.
No, I'm just saying, like, I've just seen there's a lot of subcultures there, and
there are.
They are all intense.
Speaking of subcultures, did you watch this week's Drag Race yet?
Oh, I did. I was unhappy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not unexpected because as was covered in a previous episode, Carrie's not actually been like a formal drag queen for that long.
Yep.
And so I was expecting what happened. But still, like the fact that she'd not ever been in the bottom and she already went home. But at the same time, Jasmine, she rocked that thing. Like,
really as soon as she lost that shoe.
Yep.
I was like,
yep.
oh, yeah.
I was like, because I knew as soon as she lost the shoe, I was like, oh, she's going to bring it even harder because it was right at the beginning, which I mean, I think anytime people do things like that and like it happens like midway through the song, it always throws them off. But I think for her, it was almost a blessing that it happened at the very beginning because she was like, oh, okay, I got to do something to save this.
Yeah, and there's one thing about like losing a shoe and losing a wig, right? Because losing a wig is a trope. It is something that drag queens do whenever they quote unquote get into the song.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
Have you ever lost a wig?
I have an occasion, depending on the nature of the song.
Yeah, I know. And depending on how much you pay for that wig.
Oh yeah, exactly. I have tossed off a wig because I was just like, you know what? This isn't the way. This isn't the way. We about to do it.
There's a difference between tossing off the wig and placing the wig down in a safe place. Like I had a little kitty cat wig, just real short. And I was like, that thing had been slung all over that stage.
Oh, kitty cat wigs. God bless you, kitty cat
God
wigs.
bless them. God bless us, everyone.
There was a drag queen. You'll appreciate this. I wish so desperately that I had taped this when I was there. There was this drag queen that basically she did like a wig reveal, and it was another kitty cat wig, and but there were 9 kitty cat wigs.
That's all fantastic.
It was literally like, as I was happy, because I think it just caught me so off guard as I was watching it, that like by the time she got to like 5 and 6, I was literally just staring like, is there more? Are there more kitty cat wigs? I didn't even think to grab my phone. I didn't think to do it. I was just like, I was stuck.
So after Pangina sent Jimbo home,
yes.
Do you follow Jimbo on the Instagram?
Yes.
Did you see her little Instagram story of, yeah, I'm okay, and don't send a single word of hate mail or death threats to Pangina Heels. That's Pangina Heels.
He's one of the worst humans.
He really is. I love him so much.
It's like a part of me just keeps kicking myself because I'm like, I should not think this person is as wonderful as they are, but I just do.
Oh yeah, like they are. Although I did feel bad for her when she was kicked out, right? Like,
yeah, I did too. I mean, say what you will about Jimbo. Jimbo was one of the most entertaining contestants. Like,
it's true,
hands down.
It's true, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, well, great.
I mean, most entertaining we've seen in a while on Drag Race.
I mean, the thing about her is that she has that weird thing where she's so hot or so cold. And like when she's cold, she's so cold. And it's like, when she was doing that thing with the holding the microphone, I just was like, Jimbo, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
it was just so unlike how he's been the whole competition that I just kept thinking to myself, like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not even fighting right now.
It's not that he's not fighting. It's he whenever he doesn't enjoy something, he just doesn't do
That's
it.
What I mean. Like, that's part of fighting. Technically that's part of fighting for it. Right? Like, I'm not that into it, but I'm gonna fake it. He was like,
if that's true, Baga should have been gone twice.
Baga. That's what happens when you're appreciated, I guess. People keep you. Suppose.
So what's new with you and your little world? We got a couple extra minutes before we move into this episode.
You're so funny. What's into? We actually had a really good improv show last night. It was super fun. The topic for the musical last night, the title was Old is the New Again. And so we did a little improvised musical about plastic surgery and loving yourself. And it had a funny moment and it had some tender moments. It was sweet.
Okay.
You asked me.
Speaking of funny, I was expecting something, like rip-roaring funny, not sweet and tender and like.
No, that's the thing about the musical, right? Like, no, the musical was very funny, right? Because like there was some jokes that like we did a whole thing about shady plastic surgery doctors. Mm-hmm. We did a scene about it was like this very strange scene where she was under sedation during the surgery, and we did like her going through all of her memories and things like that, and it was pretty. It was funny. I played her mother.
Okay.
And it was fun. It was good.
Well, speaking of patients going under sedation, did you know we have a Patreon?
No.
Yes,
what?
We do. Dear listeners, if you want to support us, please send us some money at Mims and Maim. Oh, wait, I got it wrong. Damn. Patreon.com Mims and Maim.
You were so focused on getting that one little part.
Yeah.
You're so focused.
Maim, speaking of musicals, did you know that we have 2 other podcasts.
Yes, despite what our doctors advised us.
It's true. It's true. And all this time, I just thought it was a UTI.
It's that too.
Okay, good. I need to start drinking cranberry juice then. So we have two others. This one is Baking Sugar. I have to remind myself. We have You Slay Me, which is our Murder, She Wrote podcast. We have, oh my God, Where's Dorothy? Our Golden Palace podcast. I was going to say on Golden Pond, which I don't know why I want to. I don't know why I want to do that. But yes,
it's all the same thing.
You can find those by just looking for Mims and Maim in your podcasty search device. yeah.
Podcasties.
Well, Maim, do you have anything to add before we get into this episode?
I mean, no.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff to cover.
We do. Racism. This is season 2, episode 16. There's some black people coming to dinner.
I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. I'm Julia Sugarbakers. And that's Marjorie. Just so you will know, and your children will someday know, is the night the lights went out in Georgia. The lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out, the lights went out. And that is the night the lights went out in Georgia.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Oh my gosh, should I just realize it's still February. So this counts as our Black History Month podcast.
Yes,
episode.
it does.
Hashtags.
Yes,
Remember the hashtags.
Does.
Remember the hashtags.
Hashtag Black History Month.
Yeah.
I'm not going to add that to this.
Oh, I will. I'll add when I do my post. I mean, you can't. I can. You know,
I can. I'm not going to, but you can.
I will. I'm just saying.
Feel free. Feel free.
Because
anyway,
this is a relevant topic.
We are at. It's a relevant topic handled poorly. It's a relevant topic handled by white people writing for this relevant topic, but we'll get into that.
They thought they were writing that Emmy-winning episode.
We will talk about that at the end of this episode. We are at Sugarbakers, and Charlene and Julia are talking about Falcon's Crest.
Yes!
While she is reading like one of those supermarket tabloids.
She loves those.
Dear listeners, back in the 80s, they had the tabloids. What was it? The Weekly News and World Report or whatever.
I don't remember.
That had the Dracula baby and all that stuff. They were so good.
I remember my Aunt Desi, God rest her soul. My Aunt Desi, she subscribed to them, so she got them in the mail.
Yes,
so
Queen. Yes.
I used to love going to her house, and we used to like when her and my mom would be talking, I would just be looking through all of these things, and they were just so entertaining.
So Suzanne comes in from a masseuse, and she's decided to quit going to this masseuse because they've started enjoying it too much. And you know those Eastern European women who don't shave their legs or anything, you can't trust them when they start enjoying it too much.
Also timely.
Yeah, true. So Maryjo then comes in, and we find out that Claudia is up for Winter Carnival Dance Queen.
Yes.
And Claudia's got a date.
Oh, that's nice.
He's a nice boy named Kyle.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
He's very smart. He plays on the football team.
Nice.
He's black. He plays on the football team.
Wait. Can you back up two of those descriptors? What was that?
He plays on the football team.
No, the one before that.
Which way? It was he's smart, plays on football team. Mm-hmm. He's black, plays on the football team.
That's the one. Back up one more.
Football team?
No, the
in between the two football teams.
Yeah.
He's black.
Oh, in the South.
In the South.
And Claudia's white?
Yeah, well, I I assume so.
Goodness.
I haven't seen the paternity test, but
I have to. Excuse me a moment. I have to go clutch my pearls.
Yeah, Maryjo is very uncomfortable by this, but not like uncomfortable in the way that I think that you and I have seen people be uncomfortable by it, right?
I think that Maryjo is uncomfortable, but she's uncomfortable in a motherly, protective way.
Right.
Which is like, I mean, that's technically a part of this, right? Like you are, for those that don't know about Mims and myself, we are not the same race. I am what people would call multiracial. So I am the product of interracials, as are my parents. And so back then, even in the 80s, even though it's not the 60s, even in the 80s, this was considered a bit taboo.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, I am 99.99% white, except for that little bit that my father swore up, down, left, and right was Native American, but is actually just black, and I love that.
I don't love it because we can't do that Cher song anymore mutually.
Which one?
When she does it.
Half-breed.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that used to be kind of our thing. Because I was like, oh my
true.
God, you're half Native American. Awesome.
I know, but no, I'm mostly German. Anyway, Julia and Charlene are like, it's no big deal. Which, funny that it's the richest one and the poorest one in the group are like, whatever, we've been doing this for years, right?
Yep.
And Suzanne's like, it's just like that movie, some black people are coming over for dinner. Girl, I kid you not, directly after this, we changed the channel, and then it was like, oh, well, welcome to our house, Sidney Poitier. I was like, oh my God, this is relevant.
Are you kidding?
No,
I'm not. Kidding?
I'm not.
What?
And that you can't watch anything unless any of that movie unless it's got her and Sidney Poitier in it, because in the rest of it, Spencer Tracy's so boring. The daughter's horrific. Like,
yeah, Spencer really, at that point, he really should have already retired, I feel like.
Yeah, he was completely checked out. Like, I haven't watched all of it because
good, but the thing about Spencer Tracy's role is like, it's good. Like, he's fine, but he's not, it's almost like he's phoning it in a bit.
Yeah.
Even in the moments that are focused on him, it's kind of like,
Yeah, and that's pretty much when I stopped watching it. Like, I was watching for like 30, 45 minutes, and it was just a scene with he and Catherine. I was like, oh, this just is not. And the daughter's so bad. The daughter is so bad. His parents are fine. Like, they're good.
Oh, yeah, his parents are great. I love them. Yeah. The daughter is. Yeah, I mean,
Speaking of daughters, Claudia's here.
Oh, hey, Claudia. Oh, my
She's
God. Why are
very
you
upset.
crying? Why are you crying?
Because Kyle's father won't let him go to the dance with her.
I'm sorry, what?
Because she's white.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. It's going to be this kind of episode.
He can't be like that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's Maryjo's place to say something like that.
Exactly.
She's the white lady.
So Maryjo gets his name and she calls him. Next page. So we're a little bit later on, and Maryjo's freaking out because she's going to have to meet him. And she does not like confrontation. It's the most you thing I've ever seen.
It's the most you thing ever. When she did that freak out, I felt so seen and so validated. I really did. I was so like, oh my God. I never felt more immortalized on film as I do right now.
Well, Matthew Jarvis shows up, And he's a real Billy D. Williams type.
Oh, he is. He is definitely Bobo Billy. I was like, yes.
Yeah, he got that. He's got his Jerry curl really short.
Oh my God, they totally texturized that hair.
They did.
Although he probably just had his hair texturized anyway, because that's just how every light to medium complexion black actor had their hair at that point because of Billy D. Williams.
So my coworker was talking to me about her unfortunate run-in with a Jerry curl when she was younger.
No.
Her family, when she was younger, they forgot to put any of the like conditioner in after it was done. So rather than the juiciest Jerry curl ever, she had the driest Jerry curl ever. She said she would sit in the car and she would hear it crunch whenever she sat back.
That's so sad. I mean, I remember people at the church used to get those, and you would just stare at them. Like, you would be behind them in the pew just kind of staring like, I feel like it's going to break, like, right in front of me.
You know, I'm really surprised that I don't remember anybody having one in, like, our classes. Do you?
Oh, yeah, some of the girls did.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, some of the girls. I mean, you have to remember though, like at that point, right? Because it was very, like there were two camps, right? There was the relaxer camp, and then there was the texturizer camp. There are two different camps, and so a lot of times you probably wouldn't have noticed because their hair was usually, the texturized girls were usually like shorter haired girls. Okay. So you may have not just noticed.
I don't even remember that being that many shorter hair girls. I remember a lot of relaxer with the mushroom
bone straights. Yes.
Yeah. It was here, and then another one here. Oh, the 80s were a mystical time. A mystical time.
Oh man. Oh, those are good times.
They were. So Matthew's running a little late. He's got to go to a meeting. He's a lawyer. And he sets up a coffee discussion, dare we say date, at Maryjo's.
Yes. Oh, hey, Charlene. I'm glad you came out of the storeroom.
She knows Matthew.
I'm sorry, what?
They worked at the Attorney General's office together. He was a lawyer who never lost a case in Little Rock.
Oh my gosh.
Why Bill Clinton didn't hire him, I don't know.
Well, he would have been, I mean, that's competition.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So he leaves, and Maryjo is just charmed. So charmed.
Well, I mean, like, he is Bobo Billy D, so.
Why didn't, or Smokey Robinson, depending. Did you get I got that a little too. It's in the face. It's in the,
now that you said that,
like the big eyes. Why didn't Charlene go after him? Right, like
because she's dating Bill right now.
Well, sidebar.
We ain't gonna cover that yet. We ain't gonna be covering that yet. Sidebar.
Okay. Well, Maryjo thinks he's awful cute.
Yes. He was okay for the 80s. I wouldn't say he was cute. He was okay.
So now we're at Maryjo's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we're discussing why doesn't Matt want Kyle to go to the dance with a white girl, right? And Matt tries to teach his children that not everybody will like them. He teaches them to love everybody and like everybody, but to be very cognizant of race and that not everybody will like them. He doesn't want his kids to get hurt.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything to add at this moment?
I think, well, number one, I think that it's hilarious that in 1987, he would even have the thought process that, like, I can protect my kids from all of this stuff, because it's like, really, dude, come on now. Like, let's be very honest.
I remember my racist father giving me a speech, because when I was in kindergarten, my two best friends in Mrs. Potts's class were not white. They were, and I will edit this out,
Yes, Kitty.
Who I will call Beautiful and the Queen.
It was written in the stars. Written in the stars.
But it really kind of was, wasn't it?
Yeah, from day one.
He is such a queen now. Anyway.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Anyway, my racist father gave me a speech of how black people and white people are different. And I remember that to this day from 5 fucking years old.
My mom never did like him.
Well, she was right.
Never. Like, never.
And I mean, it's partially like it is what you're taught, and he was taught by some racists. Like his the whole family's racist, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
it's always coming from. It comes from somewhere always, and that's the thing that. I mean, to be very honest, that's kind of timely on this episode because it's always coming from somewhere.
It's true.
Kids don't naturally just think like this.
So Matthew asked Maryjo out.
I'm sorry, what?
And Maryjo's like, it's all right for you to have a double standard? Like, what? And he's like, well, I don't want my kids to be hurt. And I've already been hurt. Also, and I quote, I'm the daddy.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate line.
Mm-hmm. Billy D. Daddy.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It was, there was a lot of weird stuff about this episode.
He really does look like Billy D. from Mahogany. That is the vibe he is completely giving here, isn't it? Yeah,
no, totally. He's it's
with
definitely
that trench coat, and
he's got the Bobo Billy D. I mean, he is literally Bobo Billy D.
Dear listeners, if you've never seen Mahogany,
what's wrong with you?
It's 2 hours of your life that is a ride. Diana Ross is there and present 85% of the time. that made me kind of high.
I love it. I love that movie. I love it so much.
With the high pitched voice of Diana Ross has.
That weird photo shoot with Anthony Perkins.
Yes! Yes!
So perfect.
God, it's such a mess. Oh,
jeez. Oh.
So then
rewatch that now.
He suggests, hey, if you'll go with me to the dance,
okay,
I will because I'm a chaperone. I will let Kyle go with Claudia.
Oh, that sounds like blackmail.
I was going to say that so you could say, but yes, there's a joke right there.
It's not a joke. It's just
not
terrible.
a joke. It's terrible.
Terrible. It's
just terrible.
I literally groaned a little bit. I was like, oh, guys, really?
So Maryjo is like, it's either okay or it's not okay, right? Like,
it's okay, but it's okay. Sorry.
So he's like, he takes the precondition. Matt takes the precondition for Kyle to go. He's like, you know what? Mm-hmm. He could just go whether you go with me or not, but are you going to go with me? And Maryjo tells him about JD, that she's seeing somebody. He's like, well, I'm seeing somebody too. Don't you want to still go with me?
This is when it gets bizarre.
Yes, I agree.
And
it gets...
I don't like, for me personally, right, as a person of color, this is where I got so upset because this is going into a completely different conversation, and the way that he twisted it, I was like, that has nothing to do with any of what we're talking about right now. Like, literally, she said, I'm seeing someone, and his reply, maybe I'm triggered because we know that in the gay world, this is the exact reaction that it gets is like, okay, so what? Me too. That's like, I was like, this is not, I was not into this part.
And then Maryjo says, it's not because you're black.
Clearly.
And he said, he then says to her, so it's okay for boy and girl, a black boy and a white girl, to go to a dance together. But if it's interracial adults, it's not okay. To which she says, I was going to vote for Jesse Jackson.
Right. I was like, Maryjo, what are you doing? Like, literally, like, you could have just stopped with, I'm seeing someone. That's it. How did it turn into this? I'm so confused.
And then he goes on and compares her to the KKK. So, well, you know, that line of, at least I know where they stand, but I don't know where you stand. Which is, like, I will say is fair in some cases. I really don't feel like it's fair in this case. I don't. I could be wrong.
We are talking about two entirely different subjects.
Yes.
And that's what made me like, because the thing is, right now, this is my biggest problem with this episode. It's summed up in this scene. Obviously, I know that it gets like there's resolution, but in trying to tackle a very sensitive subject, they make the person of the opposite race seem like a villain. And so I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm watching him, and I'm watching this weird sort of gaslighting and weird sort of like, and I thought, excuse me, this is not helping race relations by doing it in this way, because as we know now in our present culture, the victimized white lady has become its own trope.
It's true.
And so I just literally was sitting there like, this is not cool. This isn't cool. So yeah, I just didn't like it. It was very, the more I was like, I kind of rewound it a couple of times. I was like, I don't understand this direction of the scene at all, because they could have just had a meaningful discussion about race relations, and he could have easily just said, I'm just going to go ahead and let him go. I totally understand where you're coming from. But they made him into this weird villain that's a double standard, and that's victim blaming, and that's all. I just was like, I don't understand. It was upsetting. As you can tell, I was still a bit upset thinking about it.
So now we're back at Sugar Bakers.
Thank God.
And Suzanne's like, don't mention this to Anthony, because if you do, he may try to date us. And Anthony's right behind him. And he's like, Suzanne, I can promise you that is not going to happen. So then Suzanne's like, I said this would be like that movie. I said it would be like that movie. She says the name again. God.
I love it so much. There's some black people coming over for dinner.
God. And like, it was the best comedy of the entire thing.
And Julia's reaction, she's like, if you say it wrong one more time.
While she is dressing that salad with glue, I don't know what she's, and like tossing it together and serving up this, oh my God. Her in that little kitchen. It's so weird they have a kitchen there.
It was a lot.
First off.
Kitchenette. It's a kitchenette.
Kitchenette. God. So Maryjo's like, I teach my children that nobody is better than anyone else, and we are all born equal. And Suzanne's like, well, I'm better than everybody else. Yes. Well, what do you mean? Well, I'm prettier. I look nicer. I'm richer. I'm definitely better. So
honestly, you know, it's like.
And Julia's like, don't you wish, just leave her alone over there. Don't you wish we had a little trap door we could just hit a button, she'd fall down the basement? And Julia's like, we're all equal. And Suzanne is like, Maryjo, don't listen to her. She marched in Selma.
Yes, that was, when that happened, I was like, wait, what?
And then we got a little light bulb over Suzanne's head. There are two ex-convicts that work here.
I mean, you know, it's weird that something like that, especially in the early days of Anthony, it's weird that like Julia's this like civil rights background suddenly came out. I'm like, wait, how did we just now find out this thing? Like, yeah, not that we're surprised because it made complete sense, but at the same time, it was like, what?
So Maryjo's like, it's very unfair. He compared me to the KKK, called me racist, this kind of thing. Julia's like, well, it's unfair unless you don't want to go with him. And we find out that she did ask JD, and JD said it was okay.
Yes.
So Suzanne tells this racist story about an African exchange or student at Ole Miss that I'm going to skip over if that's okay with you.
Oh, it's fine. Although I can already tell you that I remember back then that was a very popular thing that people used to do. That was like a one of those kind of jokes that people like to retell from television. People thought that well, it was a different time. It was 1987. People thought that joke was hilarious because remember, back then, at that point, even people of color treated people from places like Africa like they were an other that was okay to laugh at. So that back then it was a universally funny joke.
So Charlene butts in afterwards like, speaking of cafeterias, I got a story about blah, 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 and a Black Hudson and fat mother. And Julia interrupts. She's like, is this pertinent to race relations at all? To which Charlene says, well, the Hudson was black.
Yes.
Maryjo leaves to go on an errand. And like...
They were like, you ran her off.
Yeah. So now we're at Jarvis's office.
Yes.
And Maryjo's like, I know you knew I'd come. And she gives a speech of how she grew up in a small town. There was only white people there. Mm-hmm. She never thought about race relations and never really wanted to because they're uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? And she has a proposal for him. But first she has to tell him that she had a black mammy. So she did know black people.
Yeah, which means once again.
Yeah, that's
so many things in this episode are just like, you guys don't make any. It's like, did you not look at the script fully before doing this thing? Because some of the things you say don't make any sense.
So she decides to go to the dance with him. She decides to go to the dance with dinner, and he's like, this could be the beginning of something great. Who's gonna chaperone us?
Yes.
So now we're at the dance. Claudia and Kyle are sitting there. It's 12:15. Mm-hmm. They're tired.
Claudia has practice in the morning. Even.
She does. And they're still dancing.
They look like they're shagging, right? Like,
yeah,
they look like
pretty
they shag. That's the saddest rendition you've ever done.
Well, Maim, did you find yourself a Miss Georgia World?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I actually enjoyed, even though it was cutesy, but I just thought it looked cute on her. I did like Maryjo's little dance dress, her little blue with all the little frills and ruffles and things. I did like it. It was cute. Even it was a little different for her.
I have a tie.
Okay.
Mine are Claudia and Kyle because they looked adorable sitting there with her in her little queen outfit and that red dress, and him in his little suit. They look cute together.
They did look cute. I will agree. I agree that's true.
And they picked a good actor to be with Claudia because he was cute but not too attractive to be beside. You got to play that game.
He looked age appropriate, right? Like that was the thing.
That's exactly right. They didn't put him with Will Smith or somebody who would have been 1987. I don't know. Will Smith would probably have been age appropriate.
No, because Fresh Prince was literally like two years later. So,
girl, I've got a question for you about the new Fresh Prince TV show, Bel Air.
Yes.
How are they going to do that? How are they going to take somebody from South Philly when South Philly's all gentrified now?
It's not South Philly, it's
West
Philly.
West Philly, sorry. West Philly's the more gentrified area anyway.
I mean, they're probably not even going to give it a specific locations.
Yeah,
they're probably just going to say Philadelphia in general.
Okay, well, whatever. Girl,
I haven't watched it yet.
Are you going to?
I might watch the first couple episodes because, I mean, it does look interesting in terms of, like, I mean, from what I understand from a couple of my friends, it's not just that it's darker. It's that literally, like, the only thing that is the same are the characters.
Okay.
And the very beginning where he, like, is moving there. But even that itself, everything else is different. That's literally the only thing. It's so for me, I'm kind of like, because I wasn't actually a big Fresh Prince fan. I didn't watch the show regularly. I think the only reason I knew about Fresh Prince is because it used to come on in the cafeteria in college, like, so everybody would watch it. But for me, when I watched the trailer and I heard from a couple of people, I was kind of like, oh, wait, this is like a completely different show. And it actually sounded, well, I'll say this in the nice way. It sounds a little bit, I don't think you've ever watched this show before, but it sounds a little bit like they're ripping off the show Power a little bit. That's on Showtime. It's a very popular show with the African-American community. Okay. And when I heard somebody describing it a little bit, I was like, that sounds a lot like Power. Or like,
have you watched any of The Oval?
The Oval?
Isn't that what it's called? It's the Tyler Perry president show.
No.
Oh, girl.
Is this the thing that everybody's been joking about, like calling it
a
hot mess?
Yes.
Do they still have all the bad wigs and stuff too?
Yes. Like it's yeah.
See, Tyler Perry shows, so I'll say this in the nice way. Tyler Perry shows are the reason why I'm so upset that I don't have more free time, because I have not that much TV watching free time. I have to be kind of selective in, like, what I put on, and because his shows are they're so terrible, but they also require you really, like, paying attention and watching them, you know, for, like, all of the script issues and the clothing issues and the casting issues. Because of that, it's difficult to just put him on in the background.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
there's
dang it.
One of his movies, woman breaks up with man, like, leaves the church, and then is condemned with AIDS and dies. That is the plot of one of his movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, Did you like this episode, girl?
I did not.
Okay.
And, you know, because, like I said, and I'll say it again, there are points during which this show could have gone in such a positive direction, and the nice little bow at the end was not enough to change like the fact that they made him seem like a villain. And I just I just feel like they could have done a lot with this episode, and that part could have been completely it could have just been out of the zone completely.
I'm Googling it right now to see if there were any black writers listed on this episode.
You already know the answer to that question. I don't even know why you have me look that up now.
You already know. No, it's just Linda. She's the only writer for this episode.
That's what I mean. It's like, and the thing is that I totally understand why it went in the direction it went, right? Because number one, you already had, from the minute it started, right? You already had this victim thing hanging over Maryjo, which I got, right? And so you can't, because this is how TV was back then, you can't just have a victimless episode where people are just talking and trying to resolve things and having that sort of whatever. So, of course, we have to put Maryjo in, like, from going from one awkward situation to a completely different awkward situation. But in doing so, you also like made this dude as like this terrible person who's like blackmailing her. So for
Yes.
me, I was not a big fan of it, but I did enjoy the couple of Suzanne Sugarbaker lines.
Yes, and dear listeners, we were mildly discussing this previously. You can tell Suzanne's starting to gain a little bit of weight now. They're styling her hair differently. Her hair's getting bigger. Her face is getting a little bit rounder. She's probably in a corset right now. My guess is she's cinched. What do you think?
I thought she was cinched because especially you didn't see her standing very much.
Yep. And she was sitting on the couch with her legs up, like to get comfortable. Yeah.
I mean, once again, we are in no way have a problem with plus size Suzanne Sugarbaker.
No,
I love her.
Not.
But it is unusual now in hindsight that we're older, right? Mm-hmm. Now that we are older, it is different to kind of watch this happen because at first we're gonna visibly see it, and then it's gonna start being reflected.
Right.
And but it's interesting now because now that we can recognize these things, thank you, high definition televisions. Little things like that. We're
contouring the face a little bit differently.
Exactly. Like when I first this time I was like, we know enough plus size queens. I was like, wait a minute. There's a little bit of shading under that chin now. It's not she didn't have that porcelain all the way down the neck kind of thing going on.
Right.
So little stuff. Yeah. Oh, Suzanne.
Yeah, I as well did not particularly care for this episode. It was not my favorite. And mostly because he was a skis ball. Like
they just made him so skeezy.
Like that's probably the most racist thing of this entire episode.
Yeah. It was
like
just so, and like it was like multiple skeezy things. It wasn't just the one. It's multiple. It's the not caring that she's in a relationship and then turning that into something about race. And because the thing is that sure, later on they say the thing about Ted, but she hadn't talked to Ted yet.
You mean JD?
JD. I get those two mixed up all the time. She hadn't talked to JD yet. So like even that part, it's after the fact. So even under this sort of conversation point,
I think I've got a rewrite.
Okay, let's hear it.
He asks her to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "No, I'm taken."
Mm-hmm.
He does not say he's with anybody, right? He's single. Right. He's like, I understand, but let's do a thought experiment. Is it okay for the children and not the adults, or is it okay for both? And he says that as he's leaving. He leaves. She has that little mini crisis with Julia and everybody. We still get all of that. And she talked to JD about it, and he's cool with her going. So she does go back and say, I'll go with you as chaperones. I think we can be friends.
Right.
And I think that is just simply changing that right there. Fix it.
Like showing some respect.
Right.
Right. Like, that thing, like having
Maryjo has agency, y'all.
Right. Like just doing it in that way. It's like you could have but once again, we keep forgetting that we are talking about the 80s.
Yes.
And that is where TV still would have things like women being slapped and, little stuff like that, like those types of things.
Yeah. I mean, it was only okay if it was Joan Collins doing it. One day, I know it's going to be in the future. I know we'll be doing podcasts probably till we're dead. But one day, we're going to do Dynasty. One day, we are going to do Dynasty. How many seasons is Dynasty? I think there were 6. Okay, well, it can replace this whenever it's done. Because we will still be doing Murder, She Wrote. God, why'd I say yes? Because you're loving it. I am. I don't know. You always do that. And then I'm like, yes, but every episode you love it even more. It's true. Because girl, why don't you tell our dear listeners where they can find you? Okay. Dear listeners, hi. I'm Auntie Maim, your favorite relation. Tagline. Yeah, I forgot about it. I've been forgetting about it forever now. You can find me on social media at auntie.maim. That's MAIM.
You can find me on Twitter at Maim Ministry. If you would like to see me in real life,
IRL.
Well, yeah, like IRL. You can see me on every other Saturday. I perform improv at the Villain Theater in Miami at villaintheater.com is where you can find out more about that theater. On Thursdays, I host Amazing Colossal Karaoke, which is like a karaoke show, but I do a lot of comedy and singing live and having fun with the people. And on Tuesdays in Wilton Manor, which is in Fort Lauderdale, you can find me at Lit, that's L-I-T, hosting the Laughs at Lit stand-up comedy show. And I think that just about covers it. How about you, my good friend Mims?
I am the Divine Miss Mims, and I'm searching for some notes. Anyway, they throw those down. I'm the Divine Miss Mims. You can find me at Divine Miss Mims on Twitter. I don't do as much as Maim. Period.
That's an understatement there. Understatement.
You can find this podcast at Baking Sugar Pod. Again, on Twitter. Again, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com Mims and Maim. Let's see here. We have a couple other pods. Just look for us at Mims and Maim.
Yes.
I think that wraps it up. What do you think, Maim?
I think it has been wrapped up with a racial equality bow, and all is well in the world. We see no color, and every other thing you can say at this point.
Maim.
Yes.
Just say goodnight, Maim.
Oh, good night, Maim. Yeah.
Bye, y'all.